Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm an airline pilot and a PMDG 777 beta tester. Welcome to yet another long-haul flight in the PMDG Boeing 777-300ER. We are standing in Singapore, as you have probably guessed, and we're going to fly this one over to London Heathrow. A quick 13 hours 20-ish flight across half the world. We are using a livery from Atarium once again. He's really outdoing himself with his liveries these days. And this time it's the Singapore Airlines livery, again with a full cabin interior that we're going to have a look at right now. So join me inside as we board our 777-300ER. Now once again I can only emphasize how wonderful his liveries are, especially from the inside as well. If we just take a look at the variety of our business class seats over here, but also take a look at the small details that we have on the premium economy and the economy class cabins over here, that's just, first of all, really nice to see all the diversity that we get in our cabins with his liveries, and then of course just having a look at our wonderful textures over here. His liveries are really awesome. I can't emphasize it often enough. Alright, so we are just going to take seat in one of the business class seats over here, and we'll quickly go over our briefing package, and then we can have a look at setting up our aircraft. So once again, this is going to be a rather long haul flight, some 13 and a bit hours. Now, let's go ahead and have a look in SimBrief over here as to what we can expect for our flight. So we are starting off Singapore here at 4:35 UTC. We've got 13 hours and 9 planned in the air to land just past 7 o'clock in the evening in London, which is approximately the real life schedule for this flight. It's only 264 passengers in this aircraft. That is per the maximum seats that the real one actually has available, so it's not all that full. However, of course, London, Singapore is really a cargo routing, so we've got almost 31 tons of cargo on board over here. That leads us to an estimated takeoff weight of 351 tons, and you can see that we are almost right at the maximum takeoff weight, just a couple hundred kilos missing over here. Now this places us in a rather special position in that we are not free to take as much extra fuel as we want. It's either we do a fuel stop en route if we have to, or we just got to continue with the amount of fuel that we have available here. But before we start to worry about that, let's go ahead and view our flight plan as a PDF and have a look at the route overview like we would do in a real world flight preparation. So we're departing Singapore out to the north across India. We are going to avoid Iranian airspace here, so we'll fly up north and across the, that's the Caspian Sea, isn't it? Onto Turkey, the Black Sea, and then via Europe to the UK. Now, if we go ahead and have a look at our significant weather charts, for a flight like this we can sure enough expect a lot of weather en route. That's not just because we are flying approximately along the location of the intertropical convergence zone for quite a couple of hours today, but also if you're flying halfway around the world, well, that is what you get. You will always come across some bad weather there. And indeed, looking at it, departing Singapore, we've got isolated embedded CBs over here in flight level up to flight level 530. Then we are going to cross a couple of jet streams here located in flight level 520, so really up high. At least that means that they are hopefully not going to affect us too much. But then again, we are flying through CB areas here, only isolated embedded, so we should be able to avoid all of them using weather radar without too much of a detour. Likewise, the same for northern India here, and then the flight takes us along Pakistan, Afghanistan, and all the Tan countries, as some colleagues like to call them. Now, approaching the Black Sea, we do have a note over here of turbulence between level 300 and level 390, and well, we'll probably just have to sit that one out, and then until when we make it over Europe, a little bit of headwind, but hopefully without too much turbulence. However, the bad news is, if we look at the altitudes of the tropopause, we can see that it's basically located far above us for pretty much the entire flight. So that means we'll be inside the weather for pretty much the entire flight. You can see that over here on our vertical profile chart as well, where you can see the tropopause is located even above the chart. So basically all along the flight we will have to sit the weather out. So might be a little bit bumpy throughout. That's definitely stuff that we would mention to the cabin crew in the briefing. Now, lots of SIGMATs as you can see, but we've already seen all of those in the visual depiction. So let's go down to the weather. Departure airport, Singapore. Currently using runway 20 in the real world, so that's what we are going to be using as well over here. 30 degrees, overall good weather. And our destination airport, London Heathrow, is basically showing us good condition, a little bit of rain, and as we get towards the end of the day, maybe a little bit of gusts, but right down the runway, so really nothing for us to worry about. Our alternate Manchester is likewise showing a little bit of gusts throughout the morning, but towards the evening the wind is dying down and we are looking only at a couple of showers of rain in the area. So our alternate is looking good, and apart from that the others, Cardiff, East Midlands, well, that's only in the morning here, those gusts. But tempo in the afternoon, it's rather gusty in East Midlands. We don't necessarily want to use that. Same for Birmingham, and then we've got our en route airport for the fuel, which has very good weather conditions. So overall, weather isn't exactly perfect, but then again, there's not all that much that we can do about it today because of our maximum takeoff weight limit. Of course, if needed, we can always do a fuel stop, but tell you honestly, for a flight like this, I would make that decision at some point en route. As you can see, we do have 20 minutes of contingency fuel available up here, so we should be more or less good to go. By the time we arrive in London, we are looking at approximately, if you add that up, 30 minutes, an hour 9, so almost an hour and a half of fuel in the tanks. That should be more than sufficient for any decision making, and I really don't think that the weather in London itself is going to be too bad, so you should have good conditions throughout. Looking at our schedule then, scheduled arrival time is 18:15. We plan to touch down at 1800, so that's 15 minutes to spare, so we should be pretty much good to go. Cost index is 150 already, and if we just go down into our operational impact, we can see if we weight a ton more, that's going to be 300 kilograms extra fuel, but I tell you in all honesty, I'm not going to plan much extra today, because if we just face it, we're at the max takeoff weight. So those, what's that, 335 kilos over here, it's not going to make too much of a difference. So they say block fuel is 129.4. Well, seeing that we have to remain within the MTOW, if we make that 129.6, 129.7, probably going to make it 0.7, then we are going to be right at the maximum takeoff weight, and that's all we can do today. Okay, so that's our flight briefing, and then we can go ahead and take a seat in our working spot in our office for the next 13, well, including ground time, make that 14 hours-ish. Welcome to the 777, my friends. That's flying long haul for ya. Alright, and here we are. So, scheduled off-block in just about 15 minutes. Well, that flight preparation took a little bit longer than I originally anticipated, but that is fine. Okay, so ADRU coming online, then let's go ahead and start with our checks. So we have sufficient oil quantity for the flight available. We have hydraulics, oxygen is sufficient as well, and APU oil, we just turned that on, is sufficient as well. Okay, that's excellent. Then let's go right into the FMC. Enough data out of date, thank you, we're aware of that. Going to use the GPS position today, route request, and well, it certainly does help when you do the request in the EFB first. Okay, so going to load that one up, and here we go. So, route request, SimBrief flight plan, set payload, set fuel, and select route please. So that is going to take a little while. In the meantime, we can go up for our fuel planning. So they do have us at 129.4 over here, make that 129.7, and that's really all we can load up. Then we're right at the MTOW. Here we go. Okay, so route uplink, load. Even though this looks interesting, our gross weight is significantly above the maximum taxi weight. Oh, I think I did a mistake. 1, 2... What's that supposed to be? What did we say? 1, 2, 9.7. Well, that's probably better here. That's probably much better. Okay, so 1 to 9.7 it is. Our route is here as well, Singapore 318. Let's go ahead and cross-check all of that. So, Singapore, London, SIA 318, and that's what we have indeed. Okay, activate, execute. So, departure, runway 20 center, it is today. And then we have to see about our sit now. So, looking down here, our first waypoint is Acoma. Then let's see, charts, departure, sit. Now this one is always, in my opinion, a little bit hard here, finding the right sits in Singapore. I have to admit, I'm not an expert on that, so we might just about have to search for a moment here. Especially when there is nothing in the flight plan. But I think this one's looking good, so... Aroso 5 Bravo or Aroso 3 Alpha? Either of the two is really going to work. Of 20 center, it's going to be Aroso 5 Bravo then. Okay, we're going to take that. And then for the arrival into London Heathrow, arrival ILS 27 left it is at the moment. We'll see about what they're going to use later. Logan 2 hotel arrival. And that one goes to Lambourne. Okay, execute. So then now let's go ahead and have a look at our routing. So, Aroso 5 Bravo, here is that chart. So, straight ahead, Ibiza above 1500. Then we've got Ibiza above 2500, Dubot above 4000, Adpen, Salaru, Tekong VOR above 7000, Acoma, and thereafter Ahmed Aroso. Let's just see what we have in here. And yeah, Acoma Ahmed Aroso is in here as well, so I might just about do it this way. Okay. So then we take the wind uplink, please. Load that one up. And finally the descent forecast uplink as well. And here it is. Okay, so 6,155 nautical miles. And we've got 6,140 in here. So 15 miles more. That doesn't matter. Okay. Do we need something on the radios? Well, Chaikong is probably going to be automatically tuned, so yeah, it is. So that's fine. Then fixed rings, Whiskey, Triple Sierra, and that's going to be with a 25-mile ring around it, like this. So, VNAV page. Let's see, transition altitude 11,000, and we have 11,000 down here as well. Okay, so accept the uplink, then let's have a look into the plan. So you should have 7.8 for the reserves, not 7.7. Flight level 280 is correct. So minimum fuel temperature is going to be minus 44, as we've got Jet A1 fuel over here, cruise CG 30. That's looking good. So thrust limit, we'll have to see about that, and on the takeoff reference, engine out acceleration is going to be in 1000, then we've got 1500, 1500. I think with the restrictions we have over here, it's probably a good thing to keep it like that. Just to be on the safe side. Okay, and that is our FMS entry done then. So the only other thing would be the route check, but we'll let the first officer do that, since we have already cross-checked our mileage. And I think that'll have to do, seeing that we're in a little bit tighter schedule here. Okay, so systems cross-check. Fueling is finished, 129.4. Man, that's so much fuel. Even compared with the A330, where we only have 78 maximum, but we can fly for 12 and a bit hours with that. This is just so much fuel that the 777 takes. Okay, so that was a little bit too much twitching around with all those different buttons. Here we go. So, checklists are reset, com page, flight information, TWIP request, and we're looking for Singapore, W triple Sierra. We're going to make that automatic updates from the PMDG server, please. Send that request out. So, what do we have here? Hydraulic systems, associated, engine shutdown expected. Well, all of that is expected. Okay, so current QNH 1011. Here we go. And that's now set. Alright, so systems down here are looking good, and then we can go ahead and set our park and brake, please. Transmit on the left, weather and turbulence. So our departure frequency is going to be 1203. Can pre-select that one in here. Here we go. So we definitely have a third pilot on this one, so we might as well turn his audio up. And the FO can use our left radios as well. 1 to 1.5 going into the emergency frequency like this. TCAS onto above, standby 2000, and that's looking good. Alright, so last but not least, let's get the armrests down. Like so. Okay, excellent. So then, are you ready for the departure briefing? Threats for the departure, if I'm completely honest, don't really have anything here, do you? No? Excellent. Well then, for the route track, we are going from Whiskey Triple Sierra to Echo Golf Lima Lima, Sierra India Alpha 318, and we can copy that to the secondary. Ground distance 6155, and we've got 6140 in here. So that's looking good. Okay, it's going to be a left seat takeoff on runway 20 center, flaps probably 15, noise abatement procedure 2, buck up at 1500, and emergencies, we climb straight ahead, 25 miles out, and let's just see what the MSA is over here. Yeah, MSA 2000, so if we go to 3000, we're going to be safe up there. For the emergencies, above 80 knots, we will only reject, or above 80 knots, no, sorry, below 80 knots, we reject for anything. Above 80 knots, only for fire or fire warning, engine failure, predictive wind chill warning, or any ICAS message that still makes it through. If I call stop, I will simultaneously close the thrust levers, apply maximum reverse thrusts, apply max manual braking, or verify operation of the RTO auto brakes. Manually raise the speed brake lever, and when the aircraft comes to a stop, I will set the park and brake. Okay, if you call stop, I will note the brakes on speed, call speed brakes up or speed brakes not up, and thrust wheels normal or abnormal indications. I call 100 knots, 80 knots, 60 knots, and the runway distance remaining. Verify your actions and call any omissions. I will call auto brake disarm and select flaps 30 when the brake has been set and advise ATC of a reject. Thank you. We then identify the failure and carry out any drills as appropriate. If we decide to evacuate, we redo the evacuation checklist, and if time permits, we'll pull the CBRCB. If the call before V1 is keep going, there will be no actions below 400 feet except to cancel any warnings and raise the landing gear with a positive rate. 400 feet, verify heading select, carry out the memory items. At the MFRA, we'll buck up and retract flaps and schedule. Flaps up, no light, select level change, max continuous thrust, engage the automatics, non-normal checklist, normal checklists, and then we decide on the further course of action. We are definitely overweight, so if we need to do an immediate return, we got to read the overweight landing checklist, and if we have time available, then no rush, pick up a holding somewhere, dump the fuel, and then we can come back at the maximum landing weight. But as long as there is time available, we are not going to rush anything, then we just take our time to make a decision and take things slowly and carefully. Okay, a quick look into our taxi chart then. Let's go ahead and bring this one up. So we're parking right down here, pushback onto Victor, and then taxi out is going to be via Victor, Papa, and Tango for a full-length runway 20 center departure. Our SIT we already had a look at, Aroso 5 Bravo departure, straight ahead, left turn out over the water, and then we got to see if we can make Tekong by 7000, but I do think it should not be much of a problem. Initial climb clearance, 3000, I agree, and well, that's it. Any questions? No. Excellent. So, new weather, still 1011, and it's now 1608, few clouds and scattered high clouds, 31 degrees now. Obviously, that's not going to help us performance-wise. Okay, pre-flight checklist. Oxygen, tested 100%. Flight instruments. Heading 069, altimeter 1011, set left, set right. Pre-flight checklist complete. Alright, let's go ahead and start up the APU. And then ground service vehicles, release all, door management. Well, we gotta wait for the jetway to disconnect, and in order to be able to do that, we need our APU. So, gonna have to wait a short while for that. But let's go ahead and do our takeoff performance now. So, 222.3, which is a takeoff weight, well, a gross weight of 352, so we're going to be right at the max takeoff weight. But that's fine for me. Alright, so, Changi Airport, 20 center, import the weights from the aircraft. Let's see if it can even calculate that at 352. Import the weather, and then let's see. Yeah, it can't. So, 351.534 is the maximum it can do. 1534. It's okay that we reduce this, because obviously we still have our taxi fuel that would otherwise not have been deducted over here. So it's okay if we just calculate max takeoff weight. So, what do we get then? Flaps 15, 36 degrees assumed temperature, so it's almost full power takeoff. 36, that's 103.8 versus 103.7, close enough for my taste. Flaps 15, center of gravity 25.4. Can insert that here. Okay, takeoff speed 168, 178, 183. So that's gotta become 168, 178, and 183. That's good enough. VREF if we need to return 182 knots. Just look at that. Wow. Okay. So that's it. Then let's see, APU running. So you guys can close up. Ground connections, air conditioning release. Let's just check for the ground power. Yep, it can be released as well. The jet bay can be released. Our parking brake is set, so the chocks can go as well. Awesome. Right then, GSX, go ahead and prepare the position for pushback and departure, please. So, EFB, and here's our taxi chart. Excellent. So, that's 183. Runway heading is 203, I believe. You can always use the Lex page on your colleague's side. Up here. That's normally your runway heading. Okay, and the initial climb 3000. Rather low, but I have no doubts at all today. Okay. Surprise, surprise, the fuel in center message shows. Who would have expected that at today's fuel load? So we need 6.25 units of trim. That is going to take a little while now. Here we go, 6.25. Transponder comes on, cockpit door closed, and then I'm quickly going to say hello to the passengers, and then we do the checklist. Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon from the flight deck. This is your captain speaking. My name is Emmanuel in the name of Singapore Airlines. You're welcome aboard flight 318 to London Heathrow. Flight time today 13 hours and 10 minutes. We expect a smooth flight around 30,000 feet altitude. Thank you very much for being our guests today. Sit back, relax and enjoy the flight with us. If there is anything we can do for you to make it more enjoyable, please do not hesitate to ask any of our charming cabin crew. Again, thank you for your attention and welcome aboard. So that's our passengers dealt with. Then, ground from cockpit. Go ahead. So please confirm all doors and hatches are closed, ground equipment is removed, and the bypass pin is installed. That's all confirmed, Captain, and we are ready for pushback. Roger, stand by. Before start checklist. Flight deck door, closed and locked. MCP, V2183, heading 203, altitude 3000. Takeoff speeds, V1168, VR178, V2183. CDU pre-flight, completed. Trim, 6.25 units, 0 and 0. Taxi and takeoff briefing, completed, holding at beacon. Okay, ground cockpit, go ahead. So, we are clear to push, and the parking brake is set. Roger, Captain, please release parking brakes. So it's going to be a nose left push, please. Parking brake released. Roger, Captain, starting the push and stand by for engines. Okay, let's get rid of the sun visor now. Got to remove the sun visors over here as well. And, well, here we go. We're on the way. Three minutes of delay, that is no delay at all. We're on time here. So let's see if he's going to push us correctly onto here, or if he's going to try to make a sharp turn into here. Honestly, neither would surprise me. It's GSX after all. Well, quite a bit of clouds here. That might certainly end up turbulent. I have a feeling he's going to push us correctly onto here. In that case, we'll just delay the engine start a little bit, so that we don't have the engines running for too long. But this is looking pretty good. Why is he stopping now? Okay. I was just about to praise GSX for doing a good pushback. You guys have seen it, huh? I really tried. But this... I tried, I promise. It could have been so easy, huh? Beautiful A350, by the way, in the back there. Okay, I've got no clue what GSX is about to do here. But it definitely does look interesting. Let's just watch it for a moment. If he turns us into the right direction now, then, well... Well, this is definitely not the right direction. Oh, hello. Okay, I tell you what. GSX, thank you very much for your efforts. They are appreciated. Stop here and complete pushback. And then we go ahead and start the right engine. Might as well have turned the packs on a little bit earlier, but We had the ground air conditioning at the gate, so it wasn't too much of a problem, even though it would have gotten rather warm over here. Let's see. Yeah, 28 degrees. It's not perfect, but it's okay. As soon as the engines are running, that is going to go down quickly again. Now, just now that we see it, what I really like about PMDG aircraft, if you look at the temperature in the cargo compartments over there, you can see our outside temperature is just 30 or 31 degrees reported. But if you look at the temperature in here, you can see it's actually more. And the reason for that is that the baggage or the containers that we've loaded in the aircraft have heated themselves up while they stood on the ground, and now that heat dissipates into the cargo area. That's why it's getting so warm in here. And that's why it's actually getting warmer than it is on the outside. Even though the first thought would be that the cargo compartment is of course a little bit better shielded than the rest of the aircraft, and therefore might not warm up so quickly. Well, no, not exactly. So, starting the left engine. We have EGT increase, we do have oil pressure. That's the only aborted start condition that we need to worry about. Okay, that's 2 good starts. What did we do? What did we touch? Oh, that one. No, you are definitely going to remain in auto. So, flaps 15. Here we go. Okay, the tuck is removed. Let's start the flight control track. Full up. Full down. Neutral. Full left. Full right. Neutral. And there's our ramp agent inside, then we can do the rudder as well. Full left. Full right. Neutral. TCAS off is considered. Hand signal is received. I believe I just saw him hold the pin. Yeah, there he is. Okay, excellent. Before taxi checklist. Anti-ice. Auto, recall, checked, flight controls, checked, ground equipment, clear, before taxi checklist complete. So then, we're clear on the left side and we're clear on the right side. So let's give it a go. So our aircraft is right at the maximum takeoff weight today. But as you can see, even there, it doesn't need a lot of thrust. Once it's rolling, you got so much energy in there. Okay, that's Air Asia coming over here. We're gonna do a turn out to the left here, onto the main taxiway, and then we might just about have to go to the right and probably give way to the scooter that's just vacating there. So, we are clear on the left side. It is rather busy here, isn't it? Okay, it looks to me like the scooter's holding for us. Then, let's go ahead and... we'll go all the way then. You will be waiting, will you, Scoot? Yeah, he is. So as you can see, even at the very maximum takeoff weight, you don't need all that much thrust. And once you're at the target speed, you know, let it go back to idle, and no problem whatsoever. So looking at the taxi chart, we are going northbound here until, I believe it is Quebec, and then Quebec Tango 1 to runway 20 center. That's our plan. Okay, so let's review the takeoff briefing. It's going to be a left seat takeoff on runway 20 center, flaps 15, noise abatement procedure number 2, but acceleration at 1500. So approaching Quebec for the right hand turn over there. Noise abatement procedure number 2, acceleration in 1500, takeoff speeds 168, 178, 183. And the SID takes us straight out with a left-hand turn, initially 3000, and then we'll have to get further climb clearance from air traffic control. Apart from that, I have nothing special, and, well, what can we say? Emergencies, straight ahead, 3000, MSA 2000, as it's basically just over the open water. And that's it. Questions? Nothing. Very good. So I think I forgot to arm the doors once again. Still says door manual over here. That's just not a pilot task. That is a cabin crew task. So door management, arm all. Even though, of course, I have to admit it is a pilot task to check that the doors are properly armed before you go off block. So, have to admit that much. It's another beautiful livery by Atarium, isn't it? I really like the general look of the Singapore Airlines livery. Wow, that scooter's been fast behind us as well. Seeing that we went 30 knots all the way. Hey, I learned something. It's no longer as dumb as it used to be in P3D or FSX. It's definitely gotten better with Microsoft Flight Simulator. We can say that. Okay, so to the front and then into Tango 1 where we reach the holding point of 20 center. Still gotta wait for the cabin to get ready. They are probably taking a little bit extra time because of the fact that we armed the doors so late. So that's down on me. That's fine. I can live with that. But we do seem to be clear on the approach already. And clear on the right as well. Let's just turn the transponder on, see if they are approaching 20 center or if they're only using 20 right. Well, looks like there's nobody coming, so can do the lineup already. Just gotta remember that our cabin is not ready. But for that we still have the visual clue of the ECL still being up down here. So if the cabin was ready, then we would have turned that away. My biggest worry when doing a lineup without the cabin ready is that I accidentally say cabin crew prepare for departure over the PA while they are not ready. Obviously that is going to raise the alarms with them, as that command basically means takeoff is imminent. And that can cause quite a bit of confusion, which we certainly want to avoid. So, gotta be a little bit careful when we do this. In fact, my old airline would not even have allowed to do the lineup without the cabin ready. In my new airline, we do it, but still I would advise air traffic control. Okay, here we go, cabin ready. So we'll take the weather radar on both sides, that's definitely the more interesting one. Before takeoff checklist. Before takeoff checklist complete. Cabin crew, prepare for departure. So, the transponder is on, the strobe light is on, landing lights coming on. And then we should be good to go. Are you ready? Take off. So, a little bit of wind from the left, we could just see that on the windsock. Take off. A little bit left control column into the wind to keep the wings level, not too much. Thrust set.
80 knots.
Checked.
V1. Rotate. Positive rate of climb.
Gear up. $400. Okay, the altitude restriction should not be a problem. We have met the 1500 and the 25 over there should work as well. Well, then we can start the acceleration. Flaps 5. Speed checked. Flaps 5. Gonna be a little bit careful with the maximum speed here, making sure we don't overspeed the aircraft right now. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. And this is looking good. Now the speed is going up. Flaps up. Speed checked. We've met the 2500 restriction, not a problem either. Well, then let's continue the climb. Say 10,000 at first. And here we go. So the flaps are up. After takeoff checklist. After takeoff checklist complete. And just look at those speeds, man. That is really pretty close. That is pretty close. But nothing on the radar. I think it's just impressive looking clouds, but nothing in there right now. Which is definitely good news for us. Means the flight is going to be less bumpy. So the engines are in climb thrust, resetting the timer. Yeah, thank you for that weather. QNH 1010. Reset altimeters. I'll set QNH. QNH 1010 cross check, 4600 now. Checked. Okay, we met the 4000 restriction here as well. Down the left turn out then. I find it really impressive how you've got a 350-ton aircraft over here, and the 777 is really a heavy aircraft, yet it flies like a sports car. Boeing really did an awesome job with those flight controls. Of course, the rate of climb could be a little better, but hey, 2,000 feet a minute is 2,000 feet a minute, right? Look at that, you pull the slightest G-forces and immediately the minimum maneuvering speed starts coming up. That's your heavy aircraft for you. Okay, autopilot on. Always impressive to look at all the different... Just to look at how different the entire world looks like, right? Okay, we already meet the 7,000 restriction over Victor Tango Kilo. Nonetheless, I am going to follow the SID here and not take any shortcuts. We don't want to overfly the airport, do we? Man, this is quite a build-up over here. I'm surprised we had nothing on the radar. So, here's the airport. That's Singapore as a city over here. Look at that, rate of climb 1,000 and a bit. Okay, well, we can go ahead up to flight level 200 now. So let's just about make sure we take the aircraft up to the first cruising level. Okay, reaching 10,000 roundabout now. I have a feeling this might be a little bit turbulent there, but present heading should more or less be fine. Maybe a couple of degrees to the left here, 310, just to avoid a little bit of that turbulence here. And then I'll just stop the acceleration here as well. The faster you fly through the turbulence, the stronger the effect is. For that reason, I'm just opening up the speed window here, tiny turn to the left, to avoid flying through this as much as we can. And once we're clear of this little build-up over here, we can start accelerating again. Excellent look down at the city over here. Okay, set standard. Standard cross-check passing flight level 119 now. Checked. Did we do the after takeoff checklist? Yes, we did. Okay, so what are we going to do now? We've got that weather over here. Our turn would lead us right into it. I'll tell you what, we can do maybe heading 330 already. And we'll fly around to the left of this, and then we can hopefully resume our route. I'll keep the speed where it is right now so that we can keep climbing and hopefully get away from this. Yeah, I think the middle between these two is probably a good way to go. At least we now have a decent rate of climb again. Level 110 at Tacoma is also not a problem. Now let's just see if we zoom in here already. Alright, not gonna be a problem. We are already in Malaysia, I believe. Okay, so should be clear of that weather over here. In a few moments we'll be clear of the weather over here. Then a little bit down there, so I'm just going to keep the speed for a bit so that we climb a little bit better. Or we just take a direct to Khalil over here. which is probably going to be the easiest option. And seeing that we are past the country border, I think that's the realistic option to expect here anyway. Okay, LNAV available. LNAV. So let's do a quick update of the wind, making sure that we've got the latest on board before we make a decision on the cruise flight level. But at the max takeoff weight, we are going to start low today, that is for sure. I expect something around level 280. That's what was in our flight plan anyway. Okay, wind data, loads. I'm probably going to get a forecast as well. Very important that you insert this, otherwise you will not be able to request later winds later on. So let's just wait for this. And we are more or less clear of weather. Speed window is closed again. Let it accelerate. Okay, load up the forecast. So, what do we have then? Optimum 288, maximum 313, recommended 280. Estimated time of arrival 1800 Zulu, 10.9 tons. Excellent. Nothing to complain about. So 280 it is, and we can just keep it on the econ speed as well. Set. Flight level 280 checked. Then just gotta accelerate through this over here. But this is nothing, this is just, well, might be some small bumps, but nothing to worry about. Depending on the operation that you do, depending on how familiar the cabin crew is with the area that we're currently flying through, I would probably give the purser a call and just tell them that we'll keep them seated for a little bit longer. Overall, we have like 13 hours of flight time ahead, so I'm not at all worried about starting the service a little bit later in order to keep them seated as we're going through stuff like this, because most certainly this can have an impact on us. This might be a little bit turbulent here. Couple of degrees to the right here, just to avoid that. And here we go. Back to LNAV. Update the direct. Here we go. Okay. So not exactly the greatest rate of climb here, but, well, it's pretty warm here as well, so pretty warm, max takeoff weight. What do you expect? Alright, so we are clear of any of the turbulence I'm expecting, so seatbelt signs going to auto. Now they can start their service. And, well, then we can start having a look at some of the nearest airports. So we're going to start certainly with Kuala Lumpur up here, WMKL. Let's go ahead and grab the weather. So, flight information, TWIP request, WMKL. I'm going to do a single request here of the PMDG server, send that out. At the same time, we can terminate the auto request for Singapore. So, terminate auto update, send. So, Kuala Lumpur is showing couple CBs, but other than that, good weather. Cancelling that away. So, Kuala Lumpur is good. WMKL. Putting that in here. So, what is next along the route then? I would say we go up here for that Indian airport. I keep forgetting its name. That's Port Blair, and, well, why doesn't it give me the ICAO code? Okay, Papa Bravo. Let's see if we can already see that on the map. So, PPB, here it is. Oh, interesting, the 777 doesn't show us airports in plan view. That's interesting. I could swear the 737 did that. Even though, I have to admit, it's been a little while. And, well, in that case, if we can't get that info from inside the aircraft, then I'm just using my Navigraph chart app on my iPad here. So, Victor Oscar Papa Bravo is the airport. Give me a single request through the PMDG server, please. Then we got Victor Oscar Papa Bravo. And since that is more or less an oceanic section, I'm just going to insert our rings over here for some situational awareness. Pretty much like this. Now you don't need to insert rings all the time here, you can also simply use the alternate page that is normally going to surface. But I know that people like to see stuff on the nav display here, so well, suppose you can do this. Otherwise you can also just keep it using the alternate page and only use the rings for oceanic sections where necessary. Okay, so here's the weather. And this one is good as well. Thanks, cancel that, cancel that. And I think with that we are initially good to go for the first part of our flight. So, with all of that done, well, I tell you what, we're gonna remove those rings because we're not oceanic over here. We're gonna keep them for oceanic use. Okay. And that's it. So, 16 minutes into the air, flight level 245. Yep, that is certainly a heavy 777, my friends. That is certainly a heavy 777. Might just about use WMKK instead of KL. So here we go. Okay, and I guess this is our initial stuff done over here. Now something else we can do is to enter the step climbs according to the flight plan, as I have a feeling that's a little bit more realistic than the optimum steps today. Just looking at this, recommended is 260 right now. I'm not gonna step to 300 and 160 miles if the recommended is 260 right now. We'll go to 280 initially, and we'll leave it at that. Now it's jumping to 300, 260 again. Okay, well that's fine. We'll just use the legs page for the steps. That's good with me. So Dukun, flight level 300. That's over here. Well, that isn't actually all that far away. So Dukun, 300S. Where is that? Yeah, okay, about an hour flight time. That's good for me. So thereafter, VKIT, flight level 320. Here it is, 320S. You can see a pattern here. Generally, the step climbs from our flight plan are a little bit later than what the optimum step function of the 777 calculates. But that's just what it is. And, well, apparently that is the case in the real world as well. So, I know of at least one airline, probably more, that actually have an SOP to always just enter the step climbs according to the flight plan anyway, and don't let the airplane calculate any automatically. So, well, if that's what it is, then that's what it is. Alright, so now the step climbs are in. 1757, 10.8. So it actually saved us 100 kilos fuel doing the step climbs from the flight plan compared to taking the optimum step climbs from the FMC. Well, we're definitely going to take it. 1,000 to go. $6,000 miles to go. That number is just incredible, isn't it? 6,000 miles. So, definitely gonna close all of these. That's kinda normal setup I would expect for the flight. And then, let's go ahead and prepare our flight plan here for the top of climb, fuel check. 19 minutes. Nope. At 20 already. But SimBrief doesn't take into account the degradation of the climb performance due to the outside air temperature. I mean, look at that, it's still plus 7 degrees over here. It's probably realistic. If we look at that, top of climb supposed to have minus 24 degrees centigrade. And it is minus 26, so it's actually 2 degrees colder already, which helps our climb performance. So here we are, cruise level. So we took a minute longer, 122.1 versus 122.0 planned. Should have used 7,300 kilos, we used 7,600. That's fine, we can live with that. That fuel check is good. Okay, well, and that's it, we're up in cruise level. So from here on, I'd say if anything important happens, we'll keep you updated. And in the meantime, enjoy the cruise, enjoy the wonderful looks outside. And then I see you all as either something important happens or as we start to close London.
Open air, side by side we sway there in all the colors. Sound loud, lonesome love, folded on the lawn chair in all the colors. Sound loud. Stop giving back. Honeysuckle, fresh cut grass. I could really use some stuff like that. Talk to me and tell me all that you've seen, all the colors, summer love. Memory, washed in every shade of green, and all the colors, summer love. Riverday canoe, bathing in the turquoise blue, losing track of time with you. Another beach pie sunset view, sleeping in the afternoon. No place to be and nothing to prove. That's sure something I could use. A cure for the air conditioning blues. Could you use some too?
Rough roughly 100 miles till our top of descent, and that is about the latest time where we should start preparing for our arrival. So let's go ahead and request some weather information over here. We might as well just go ahead and remove any of the old stuff we still had in our FMS. So that good stuff can all go for now, and then we can go ahead and start our approach preparation. So let's go ahead and set up a contract for Heathrow weather. We'll go for automatic updates from the PMDG server, please, and send that out. And that was quick. Okay, so Heathrow 28010, slightly variable, no clouds detected, 14 degrees, QNH 1010. Okay, thanks, we can get rid of that. Excellent, so with that, runway 27 it is, for sure. Now, the only question is it going to be runway 27 left or runway 27 right? And here's a couple of tricks that I normally use to find out which of the runways are actually in use. So we can start with flight radar once again, surprise, surprise, and a couple of things that we can check here. So first of all, we could of course just check our current flight for the arrival, but here's what I normally like to do. We just enter the airport's ICAO code, go to show on map, and here we are. So here we can easily see that it's 27 right that they're landing on at the moment. Well, and that's about as easy as it gets. So 27 right it is. And then, if we're in flight radar already, we can as well just go ahead and have a look at where they parked. So down here, that's 239 that they parked on. The real one landed on the left runway, but as we just saw, the right runway is active at the moment. So for that reason, I'm going to go for the right runway. So right now we have 27 left in here. Let's reprogram that with 27 right. Arrival status unchanged. Lamborn transition, execute. Well, and that's about as easy as that stuff is. So let's see, for the arrivals themselves, we should have the Lamborn... Sorry, the Logan 1 Hotel, of course. And then initial arrivals from Lamborn. Can pin that one. Then Logan 2 Hotel, here it is. We may pin this. For the approaches, ILS 27 right is what we're looking for over here, and we can pin that one as well. We don't really need the ground charts. We are going to use our... We are just going to use our own ones as the moving map, but nonetheless, it doesn't hurt to open it as well, does it? So Terminal 2B, 239, that's where we're gonna park. Always good to have that stuff handy. Well, in that case, let's go ahead and check our arrival routing, make sure that everything is correct. So, Logan 2 Hotel. Max 250 below 100, but apart from that, there is no real speed restriction on here, is there? Nope, certainly doesn't look like it. Okay, so then we can start over here. Logan level 250, Sabre level 160, Brazo, Weasel max 250 knots. So let's just make it 250 / 7,000 above, something like that. Okay, and then onto Lamborn, 220 knots over here. So, initial approach out of Lamborn. Outbound till 11 DME, that's what we have on the radial 272. And then we're gonna turn inbound. 6,000 feet above, then we have 19 DME bobbing. That one's supposed to be maximum 180 knots. So 180 / well, need some altitude here, give me 3,000 above, I'd say. Like that. And then we've got the final turn in here, and that's it. Leads us onto the ILS approach. Quick look at that chart over here as well. Starting in 2,500 at the Fox India. That's exactly what we have. 3 degree glide slope matches with the chart. And for the missed approach, climb straight ahead, passing 1580 or 0 DME India Romeo Romeo. So that's pretty much what we have here. Whichever is later, turn right, track 316 to 3000, then as directed. So we got 316, 3000, then as directed. Minimum's 278. And that's set. Excellent. So with that, our arrival is checked. Let's go for the progress page. We can set up a 25-mile ring around our destination airport over here. Like that. Nav radio page. Well, we could set up a couple of the radios we might be using for the intermediate approach here. So something like Lambourne. (272) and Bovington. What's that one here? It's 126 from Bovington, okay. So Bovington 126. Something like that, just so that we have some radius tuned. But as mentioned, it's not really needed. So ILS frequency 110.3 and the course 269, both are cross-checked against the chart up here. Okay, so grab the latest forecast wind, and then 11.3 is now the estimated arrival fuel. 14.1 on board at the moment, so minus 3,000. Well, let's make that minus 2,500 so that we got a little shortcut in. So that's 233.9 if I'm not mistaken. So 233.9, we'll put that into here. Okay, well, we'll just load up the descent forecast real quick. And now again, 233.9. So let's do our landing performance. Heathrow, runway 27 right. It's 280 at 13, no cloud detected, 15 degrees, 1010. So let's calculate a dry runway. Landing weight 234. Flaps 30, air conditioning on, anti-ice off, VRF addition 5 knots. Well, make that 7 knots actually, because of the headwind component. So 7 knots, here we go. No reverse threaded, and that's it. Landing weight, wind 280 at 13. Temperature is 15 centigrade, and the QNH we said 1010. Okay, calculate. And that's 1,117 meters. And if we look at the airport chart, got 3,900 up here. So yeah, that should roundabout become Alpha 10 Echo, maybe Alpha 10 Whiskey. Both of them are fine for us. So these calculations are good. So flaps 30, auto brake 3. Here it is. Okay, so there are no notes over here, there is nothing in the recall. Then let's do the approach briefing, please. Threats for the arrival. Well, it's been a pretty long flight, we might be a little bit tired over here. And I would say that that is definitely our main threat for this one. Now, complicated airport, chances for shortcuts on the arrival, but the speed brake is going to cover for any of these. And I think that's mostly it. So, if we have a look at our FMS, we've got the speeds are in, the forecast is filled in. Fixed rings, 25 miles. The arrival is checked for an ILS approach starting in 2,500 feet with minimum of 278. Missed approach straight ahead, basically to over the runway, or 1580, then a right hand turn 316 outbound, climbing 3,000 feet. And for the landing itself, we are going to use flaps full, idle reverse, and vacate the runway to the left. Brakes are probably going to get rather warm, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem for us today. Now, no hotspots for the taxi in, even though we just gotta have a good look outside the aircraft for anything that's got wheels on it, so that nothing taxis into our way. And I think that's mostly it. Do you have any questions? No? Excellent. In that case, I'm off everything and I'm talking to the passengers. You have control your radios. Ladies and gentlemen, from the flight deck, this is your captain speaking. In 5 minutes we're going to start our descent towards London Heathrow. The weather over there at the moment, clear skies. We already have an excellent view on London and the River Thames from the flight deck. So we are going to bring you smoothly and softly to the ground in London in approximately 15 minutes ahead of our schedule. Would like to thank you very much for choosing Singapore Airlines for today's flight. Hope that you have enjoyed it as much as we did, and we'll look forward to welcome you again on board of one of our aircraft. In the meantime, thank you very much for your attention. Thank you for choosing Singapore for today's flight. We wish you a nice and safe continuous journey and hope to see you all again on a future scheduled service. Thank you very much for your attention. Alright, passengers are dealt with. Then let's do the descent checklist, please. Recall, checked. Notes, checked. Auto brake, 3. London data, Vero 30, 144, minimum Sparrow 278 left and right. Approach briefing, completed. Descent checklist complete. Okay, and with that comes a little bit of waiting once again. So let's accelerate this a bit more, and then I see you when we are getting a little bit closer to our destination airport. We're down to 11.5, and over here we now encounter one of those, well, we gotta call it features of the 777 because it really is a feature. And that is when we're on a geometric path descent like we are right now, and we encounter a speed reduction point, for example here 250 knots at Weasel, you can see the plane does not level off for that. So all it does is to maintain the same geometric path and pull the engines back to idle, and then it either decelerates or not. So what we gotta do to comply here is to use the speed brakes. And that is not a bug, it's a feature indeed. So over at Weasel, should have been at 250, but we are getting there right now, so that's nothing to worry about. And then reducing 240 straight away due to the level 100 restriction. At Lambourne then we gotta have 220, and that once again is going to be the very same case over here. So let's actually help it a bit more even. We might just go full speed brake. Luckily they are so incredibly effective in this aircraft, we just don't have to worry about it. Okay, and here we go. 250, I'm happy with that. Reaching 100, lights are coming on. Let's get the sunshades stowed again. Well, and then we've got Lambourne at flight level 70. Now, from there on, normally in the UK you would get radar vectors. And the UK wouldn't be the UK if they wouldn't vector you right across the magenta line. So, gotta keep that one in mind. But I think we can definitely take a little shortcut today, as there is just not all that much traffic around. So, weather is no factor. No clouds detected over here, 15 degrees, QNH 1010, so overall pretty good weather conditions here. Therefore, let's continue on the present heading, and we'll just make our approach easy. Down to 2,500, set QNH. QNH 1010 cross-check, passing 8,000. Now. Checked. So, the cabin is ready as well. Approach checklist. Altimeters. QNH 1010. Approach checklist complete. Okay then, and since we're on radar vectors now, we can go ahead and extend the center line. So that's intercept course 269, execute. Slightly low on profile, that's interesting. I would have expected to be high at the moment. But looking at where we are going to level off, I have a feeling that we actually are a little bit high. Even though the profile says low, but I don't believe the profile here. I think we are high, because if we reach 2,500 over here, then we still have all the airspeed that we currently carry. So we're gonna lose a little bit off that. Now, of course, the inbound vector here is also going to help us a bit. So normally in the UK, or rather normally in Heathrow, they just turn you in with like a 90-degree turn. And if we do that, then we'll probably have sufficient altitude here. Okay, so with all of that out of the way, autopilot off, let's do a little bit of hand flying. So here is the glide slope, 21 miles out, 6,000 feet, so if we just do a little bit of calculation in our head, 6 times 3 is 18, we can subtract 2 miles due to the 20 knot headwind we currently have, and then we gotta add 4 nautical miles to lose the speed, so we need about 20 miles. We had 21 at the point we started the calculation, so all easy going. Okay then, left heading 210. Heading select. Flight level change. So now is the question, flying over these lakes down there, would that cause a noise complaint? Most likely, huh? Yeah, I have a feeling going over here is definitely going to cause some noise complaints. Luckily not my issue though. Okay, we don't want to go exactly over downtown, do we? Make that heading 220. Okay, starting the speed reduction. Flaps 1. Speed checked. Flaps 1. Okay, cleared for the approach. Approach mode armed. And flaps 5. Speed checked. A little bit of turbulence right now, but nothing that needs to worry us. Localizer capture. Well, photogrammetry, come on, just ignore that. At least it didn't come in the flare this time. Vertical speed. The reason I'm going into vertical speed right now is that it also activates the speed mode of the auto throttle, and thereby the airplane now starts to maintain speed by itself, and we don't have to aggressively fly down into the 2500, but we could get a little bit of thrust on a little bit earlier. Okay, the glide slope is coming in. As soon as we capture the glide, we'll go gear down, flaps 20. Here we go, glide slope capture, gear down, flaps 20. Start reducing the speed. Like so. And go around altitude. 3000 feet set. Flaps 30. So just waiting for the flaps to come down now, and then we can do the landing checklist. It's so incredibly easy to lose your speed once you are in landing configuration in the 777. I wish the A330 would fly that way. In the 330 it's always fighting the aircraft to lose that speed. In the 777 it's just very easy. Okay, landing checklist. Landing checklist complete. So, we wanted to use 2 knots extra for the wind. Man, it's turbulent here. Okay, and we're going stable through the gate. Checked. It's definitely pretty turbulent. One of the few approaches where I can't just let the fly-by-wire take care of things, but I actually need to do something on the control column here. So, looks like we're out of the updraft. A little bit of a downdraft right now. Can see that by the pitch that we need to maintain the glide slope. 2 degrees is standard in the 777. Well, those cars are spawning rather late here. Checked.
Minimums.
Continue.
100. 50. 40. 30. 20. 10.
Come on. Okay, speed brakes up, thrust reverse normal, idle reverse. 13 hours and 1. So 60 knots, manual brakes. Auto brake. And then we go off to the left and immediately left again onto Alpha. We'll vacate the runway first and then we do all the rest second. So down to 10 knots for this turn. This one is getting a little bit tighter right now. Okay, and off to the left. So here we are, welcome to London Heathrow. Let's go ahead and run the after landings. And that's it. So, parking stand. We said we're gonna park on 239, so let's go ahead and select that already. So, there's the Dreamliner coming off over there. So, that's terminal number 2, and 239 is our gate. Here we go. So, no follow me needed, thanks. Handling by Swissport. Then at least we know who damaged the aircraft. That'll be an easy explanation. So, where's the Dreamliner going? Turning away to the left, okay. Well, you don't need this anymore. So, right onto Kilo. Whenever it comes. So that's link 12 on the side there. So that's here. So another 2 taxiways straight, and then we're gonna go right in Kilo. The Dreamliner is holding there, okay. Fine, then we'll overtake it. Okay, so that's Terminal 2 over there. 239 is on the very outskirts of it, on the right-hand side. Link 13 over here, and that's over here, so after that comes Kilo. Yeah, here it is. Okay, slow it down, 10 knots for the turn, no more. Here we go. And we've got 3 minutes, so we can shut down the right engine. Saves a little bit of fuel on the way in. Okay, clear right side, the Dreamliner is nowhere to be seen. And we can enter the apron over here. So, engine shutdown right. Going to clear that. Okay, all the way through the apron, and we've got the very last gate on the left side. 15 knots taxi speed on the apron should be good. Here we go. So, Lufthansa, Swiss, Eurowings. Is that the Starlines terminal here? I thought Lufthansa would always park over here. Well, I guess over here gotta be fine as well then. Okay, we do have some ground staff waiting over there. They're probably awaiting us. Starting APU. So, 238, and then the next one is going to be ours, 239 over there. A220. Nice aircraft. Okay, lights off, weather radar is off as well. So, Boeing 77 Whiskey is on the guidance system. So we got to roll quite a bit forward over here. But again, it's a very long aircraft. And here we are. Okay, brake set, APU running. Cabin crew, all doors in park. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for flying Singapore Airlines. Welcome to London Heathrow. Oh man, lovely 16 degrees. I do need some fresh air. Yes, you actually see me using a window over here. First time, but you see me use one. Okay, so shutdown checklist, park and brake, set, shutdown checklist complete. Okay, so this time we're not going to forget about the doors. So, disarm all. Set chocks, and then we can release our brakes. So, ground power request. Jetway request. They're probably going to connect only the aft jetway, I guess. Where is our ground power? Here we go. So then we can shut down the APU, ground service vehicles, we need aft cargo, bulk cargo, forward cargo. And here they come. Alright guys, that's it. We made it all the way to London. 13 hours flight. I do hope that you enjoyed this one. Let me know your feedback in the comments below. As always, do let me know if you want me to keep doing videos like these. And finally, if you are interested in learning how to fly the airplane properly, have a look at my Ultimate 777 Guide ebook. More on that in the video description below. In the meantime, thank you very much for watching. I do hope that you've enjoyed this one. Let me know your feedback and be sure to like, comment and subscribe. And if you really love what I'm doing, I would appreciate a small donation through the Buy Me Coffee link in the video description below. In the meantime though, thank you very much for watching, and then I see you all again on the next one.